The automakers have made a full rebound since the pandemic. They're selling like absolute hotcakes. We're going to dive into all the manufacturers that I covered here on the channel, their sales, individual sales as best I can with the information I have. And just a quick update. I am still in Monterey, or just outside Monterey, California, finishing up the TLX Type S press coverage that I'll be giving you guys pretty soon. I'm under embargo until May 20th, so I can't share driving impressions, but I will be giving you guys an update, probably a video or two before May 20th where I can give you my full impressions, but I'll give you another video here in the next week on the TLX Type S, but I need to go over this information. It's already like a week overdue, and let's get into the meat and potatoes of the car industry sales here in America. It's just hog wild right now. Over automotive news, automakers rally from pandemic low. SAAR hits 18.5 million. Blockbuster April sales comes as stockpiles fall to record low, 33 days. Crazy. It's just such an absolute crazy time in the auto industry. As a result of just being a crazy time in the world. But we're going to dust over the general sales real quick. We're going to go over each individual automaker as well. The ones I cover, the Japanese and Korean. You're going to have massive changes from April this year to April last year. That's no surprise. We're going to talk in depth with Honda today. Overall up 41%, and Acura 62% up thanks to a few models in their lineup. We'll go over them, of course. Genesis, yeah, they're going to keep making sales records because they actually have an SUV to sell. So good for them. Good to have a competitive lineup now, or at least a little bit more competitive. Wait for the GV70 and then they'll be more fleshed out. Hyundai up about 50% overall. Kia 35%. Mazda continues to sell really well. 45% for Mazda. Even Subaru posting a best month ever. We'll talk about them. Lexus and Toyota. Lexus up 53%. Toyota 44%. Overall 45% when you combine the two. Volvo continues to outsell just about everyone that's not Tesla at this point. You're not going to see Nissan on here. Nissan reports quarterly. And we're going to go over to the Honda page. So here we are. Honda and Acura light trucks drive continued American Honda sales momentum, setting multiple records in April. So here are the highlights. The light trucks setting new all-time sales records. Honda cars and trucks combined for best April sales in brand history. HRV and Passport record best ever sales. And that's crazy. HRV is like so old right now. There's so much competition, but it continues to sell really well. CRV Pilot each set April records. Civic and Accord combining for nearly 50,000 deliveries. Acura posting best April truck sales in history thanks to the MDX, of course. I'm seeing them everywhere on the streets now, it feels like, as well as the GV80. We'll talk about that on the Genesis end of things. Acura MDX follows record months in March with second best month in model history, because I believe the first best month could have been last month. So they're just absolutely slaying it on the Acura end right now. And we're going to go down to the individual car sales per model. So here we are with the Accord. The Accord is up, guys. I'm so happy to see that the Accord is doing well. Now, it's up compared to last year. Don't think that it's up compared to 2019. So it's still a good thing to see that it's up. And we're going to focus mainly in these columns, which is year to date. So Civic up about 11%. And the far column here is the percentage in volume that they're up. The column here is daily selling rate, but we're going to focus on volume here. Even the Clarity, guys, even the Clarity's up. Honda Fit, rest in peace, but they're still selling some units there, even though it's been canceled. Honda Insight, people want to get better miles per gallon. Gas prices going up, about 30% up for the Insight. Hopefully I can get one on the channel for you guys. I feel like it's a much overlooked vehicle, not only for Honda, but for like the entire automotive industry. So I talked to my Honda representative last night in person since I'm at this Acura event, and fingers crossed I'll be getting Insight soon so I can give you some impressions on that vehicle. CRV is the best-selling Honda in their lineup, right? Selling 134,000 units last month, or these past 4 months, and 61% up. So it's going to continue to do well. HRV, though, 75% up, almost selling 40,000 units this year so far. And what's going to happen when they have a redesign model? Makes you wonder, right? I think it's going to be a really, really good seller for them going forward. Odyssey, guys, minivan. I actually have a Honda Odyssey in my driveway waiting for me when I get back home so I can review it for you guys. I'm really excited about that. Honda Odyssey van sales are actually doing pretty well right now, all things considering. It kind of hit rock bottom these past few years, but it looks like there's a rebound in the minivan segment, probably due to my videos talking about how much better they are than SUVs for a family. But anyways, Passport crushing it, Pilot crushing it, Ridgeline. Ridgeline got that big refresh, and it looks a lot more like a truck compared to a frumpy truck. So 79% up. It's actually posting the most growth since last year. So good to see the Ridgeline making a mark there. Acura, guys, why I'm here in California right now. ILX even outselling last month. Now NSX, I talked to my Acura rep yesterday, and he says NSX is all built to order. They really don't produce any extras. So if you want an NSX, you go and order one. So, and he mentioned, he's like, we're okay with the NSX not selling well. It is our flagship product, and we are happy to integrate those technologies that we developed in the NSX and bring them to our lineup. So that's kind of what Halo products are for. Not for making money necessarily, but for using that technology. Well, RLX is still canceled, but they're selling some of them. TLX, can't wait to share my impressions with the Type S, but it's good to see that that is up. It is leading the charge here for the sedans, and the ILX needs to have a replacement, hopefully in the next year or two. Fingers crossed we get a manual transmission. My Acura rep said it's not out of the equation. Anything is possible. So I'm going to put my hopes on that. Manual transmission returning in a small sporty sedan for Acura. But yeah, take that with a grain of salt. That's just my hopes and dreams. MDX, guys, this is what it's all about. This is their savior right now. MDX, 24,000 units so far this year compared to just about 10,000 last year at this time, up 131%. The new MDX is a phenomenal vehicle. If you haven't checked out my review, go and do that. And the RDX, surprisingly, this segment should be selling maybe a little bit better, but it's doing better than it was last. This segment is just really competitive, where the MDX is kind of in a much smaller market in terms of competitors. Well, Lexus just announced that they're going to have a 3-row crossover, but we're probably 3 years out from that. And the MDX's nearest competitor is the QX60, but that's not even available anywhere because Infiniti is, don't need to talk about them too much right now. I guess the next competitor would be like the Audi Q7. The GV80 is out. We'll talk about the GV80 as well today. But overall, Acura, Honda leading the charge here for the brands I cover mostly on this channel, doing really well. Full rebound for them and then some. Mazda reports April sales. Mazda was one of the few brands like Volvo, like Tesla, to weather last year, 2020, really well. So let's go into the sales highlights. Sales of CX-30 achieved its second best month ever with 5,500 units. CX-5 achieved its best April ever with almost 15,000 units. Wow, it's quite surprising that the CX-5 is selling almost triple the CX-30. In my mind, I would think it would be closer. CX-9 achieved its best April ever, which is the CX-9 is kind of like a competitor to the MDX, but it sold 3,000 units compared to the MDX. And the MDX sold about double that, a little over 7,000 units. So the CX-9 definitely maybe taking a chunk of those 3-row crossover sales. Here we go. Okay. I was worried we didn't have sales for each individual model for Mazda, but looking at the Mazda 3 here, having a nice recovery from last year to year to date. They're at almost 14,000 units now. MX-5, what in the heck? The crazy thing about the MX-5 is that it still had a good year last year. It's one of the few vehicles I think that ended up in the positive compared to 2019. So the fact that the MX-5 is up 80% compared to last year and it had a great last year is just mind-blowing. And I know it's still only selling 4,000 units, but for a niche product to be moving 4,000 units, that's pretty impressive. And if you haven't checked out my review on that, go ahead and do that. Love that car. It is so special and is so necessary for car enthusiasts. CX-30, this is going to continue to be their second best-selling vehicle. And if you look at the CX-30 by itself, it is nearly outselling all the sedans combined, which is just two of them. The Mazda 3, well, the Mazda 3 hatch is in there, and then the Mazda 6. CX-5 will continue to be their cash cow, their volume seller. And it's just a winning formula for them. We should be getting a redesign in the next few years. We're talking about CX-50, rear-wheel drive, inline six, maybe sport coupe, SUV. So it will be interesting to see what we get out of the CX-5 in the future. And the CX-9, best April ever. And they're starting to sell some volume here with this large 3-row crossover. Really good to see. The Mazda lineup is really strong, and the CX-3 needs to be just axed and canceled. It doesn't sell well. They're not sending any here, really. The focus is all on this thing. It's outselling the CX-3 10-1. Mazda continues to do well, but we're shifting gears, I should say, over to Subaru. Best April ever. Monthly sales increased 100% over last April. Best April ever for Crosstrek. That continues to sell really well for them. The Forester and the WRX STI. Best April ever for the WRX and the STI. Didn't see that coming. We're on the last leg of this current generation WRX and STI. So people want a piece of it before maybe it changes too much. Guys, what is going on with the Ascent? The Ascent year to date, guys, is negative. Now, it had an okay April. It was up 11% in April. But if you think about it, we're comparing to April 2020 when all hell broke loose. So the fact that it's negative is very concerning for Subaru. This is such a big market, a lucrative market. They're just not getting any sales, probably because, well, we just talked about the CX-9. We're going to talk about the Telluride and the Palisade later, and they're just eating the Ascent's lunch and beating this kid up, putting him in the corner. Poor Ascent. Man, just not a compelling product, apparently, to the masses. I haven't reviewed it or anything, but wow, not looking good for the Ascent. The Legacy, however, who said sedans were dead? Legacy's not giving up. Outback, though, guys, these are the volume sellers. Outback, 57,000 units so far this year, up 40%. Forester, their best-selling vehicle by quite a bit. Usually the Outback and the Forester are pretty close in sales, but it looks like the Forester is surging ahead this year, up 38%. Very impressive, very good first 4 months for Subaru overall. The BRZ up 41%, but yeah, not a volume seller. The next generation BRZ should be out sometime by the end of this year, so I look forward to that. Definitely make sure you subscribe because I will be giving you guys hands-on impressions of the Subaru BRZ Toyota 86. Crosstrek, this vehicle, I've driven it. It's, I guess, practical. You get all-wheel drive. It's fuel sipping in some regards. I didn't really like it that much. It doesn't stop Subaru from selling massive amounts of them. Almost 50,000 units of the Crosstrek. It's up 84%, and this vehicle will continue to do well for them. It's quite puzzling to me that the Crosstrek is doing so well and the Ascent is just actually losing sales compared to last year. So real quick here, before we talk about Genesis, I don't really have sales numbers on Genesis individual models, but Genesis is going to Europe. This is going to be huge for the automaker. Genesis delivers Korean luxury to Europe in the summer of 2021. We're going to have all the models there, G80, GV80. We're going to have the G70, GV70. Doesn't look like we have the G90 in this lineup. We will have 3 electric cars arrive within the first year. So we know the electric G80, so that's probably the first one, the EG80. We'll get a new vehicle altogether on the eGMP platform, like the, what is it, EV5, EV6, and the Ioniq 5. It's just, I always get those numbers mixed up. So it'll be very similar to them, in my opinion. I would expect power numbers similar to like 500 horsepower, at least in the range topping one, like the EV6 Kia. So guys, just looking at Genesis though, 11,000 units so far this year. I think their best selling year ever in America was around 20,000 units. So in the first third of the year, they've already sold half of their best selling. So what does that mean? Well, they're going to sell about 50% more than their best selling month ever. So Genesis is going to be growing. I don't know how long this rally is going to go on for. They just continue to pump out new products. The GV70 is coming out. So it will be interesting to see how Genesis grows, evolves. Hopefully we can get dedicated dealers for them, and they will be a force to be reckoned with in the luxury segment. But we're going to talk about their parent company, Hyundai, here. Best total retail sales month of all time. April total sales up 128%. All-time monthly record for the Tucson. Well, we just got the redesign out. And April records for Venue, Kona, Palisade. Wow, let's get into these numbers. But before we do, we got the Santa Cruz coming out this year. We have the all-new 2022 Tucson going to be hitting full stride here. It had obviously a great month. The new Kona N was just announced with the 2-liter turbocharged engine and 8-speed dual clutch transmission. That thing is going to be a hoot. Got safety picks and a lot of good things happening for the company. How confusing is this? We just talked about the Subaru Ascent, and this is the Hyundai Accent. Yeah, almost you could do some play on words there with those vehicles. So here we are. We're going to run it down. Everything seems to be up so far. We're going to look at year to date here. Kona, the fact that it's up 80% is really impressive because it's always been a pretty well-selling vehicle. So the Kona is going to be selling a ton for them. The new redesigned Elantra that I reviewed, love that interior on that vehicle, up 22%. Palisade, they can't make enough of them. The Kia Telluride and the Hyundai Palisade, they cannot keep up. I'm hearing these vehicles are selling for sticker price, so no discounts. Yikes. 44%. If you guys want a discount, maybe just go get the Subaru Ascent. They need some help selling that, apparently. Hyundai Santa Fe, 39,000 units, up 53%. Speaking of Santa Fe, guys, I got some news to share with you, and it's not good for Hyundai. More recalls come out, more than 390,000 for the same fire recall. Brake fluid leaking around, catching fire on things, and it's not good. Largest recall covers more than 203,000 Santa Fe SUVs from 2013 to 2015. Some of these are being recalled a second time. In addition, 187,000 19 and 20 Elantras, 19 and 2021 Kona and Velosters. And it's just a dumpster fire for them right now. And it's sad to see because they're selling so well, but they're having to walk around with a limp essentially because they shoot themselves in the foot with that recall. It's going to cost them, I don't know, it has to cost them hundreds of millions, if not more at this point. Anyways, back to the sales though. Sonata making a huge rebound. Long live sedans, man. I love the Sonata review. Hashtag El Bagre, or Saludo, which is catfish in Spanish. Yeah, hashtag that if you saw that review. Here's their volume seller. The Elantra coming close, the Kona coming close, but the Tucson selling 50,000 units. Man, their lineup is just so strong, top to bottom. Veloster, not so much, of course. Venue. Man, when I see a Venue on the streets, I'm always like, what the heck is that? Venues are so rare out there. But they're... Oh, and I saw a Nexo. And it was Alex and Otto's Nexo that I found out that he's here for this event as well. So yeah, I saw Nexo for the first time. I'm like, what in the world is that? But look, their sales are up 78%. Who would have thought? So Hyundai just doing really, really well. They continue to grow, continue to eat into the domestic sales, the Japanese sales. So yeah, watch out. Juggernaut coming through. Kia achieves best monthly sales in company history, April 2021. Best April totals for Telluride, Sportage, Seltos. Kia sales increased more than 120% over April 2020. Now, they don't give us percentages here. Kia, I don't know why you do that to us. Why don't you just give us percentages? But here we are. Even the Rio is up, guys. Cheap cars. We need more cheap cars, right? Forte selling a lot of units as well. Kind of like the Elantra is. Ironically, the K5 is selling 30,000 units so far this year, which is almost identical to the 30-some thousand units of the Sonata. So didn't take long for the K5 to, and I'm seeing them on the roads, especially like the GT trim, not the G. Yeah, you guys know what I'm talking about. Not the full GT with the big turbo in it. All right, Cadenza, rest in peace. Stinger. which in theory could be a rival or a competitive option to the TLX Type S. Not quite as nice as interior or sound system, that's for sure. K900, rest in peace. But let's get into the volume sellers. Kia Soul doing well. The Seltos, though, guys, the Seltos to me, and the Kona is doing really well as well. These small SUVs, look at the Subaru Crosstrek we just talked about. They are doing phenomenal. This Seltos, I think, is just good. I think it's a great looking vehicle, by the way. I think it looks better than the Kona. I would take it over that vehicle. Amazing job for Kia just to, here's a new small SUV, and we're going to triple our sales on it from last year to this year. Props to them there. Sportage doing well despite it being old, long in the tooth. Sorento, 3-row crossovers. They seem to be getting in on the pie here, but also they can't make enough of the Tellurides, so they're selling a lot of the Sorrentos. I have a feeling that's what's going on. People want that Telluride action. I like the Telluride over the Palisade. If we look at the Palisade, the numbers are identical, right? About 30,000 units. So they're at max capacity. They're selling out all the vehicles they can on those 2 large 3-row crossovers. And the Sorento benefiting because people can't get that Telluride that they want. And the Santa Fe also benefiting because they can't get that Palisade oftentimes. So guys, who would have thought you'd have 2 large 3-row crossovers, one a little bit bigger, a little bit boxier, but you have another vehicle that's comparable enough that you don't lose the sales on it to another brand. You can capitalize by having another vehicle in very much the same segment. Very interesting for them. Sedona and Carnival, well, the Carnival just came out, so I don't even know how many of those units are available yet here in the States, and I would love to test it. Like I said, Honda Odyssey in the driveway, and I'm excited to review that for you all. But overall, look at these sales numbers for Kia. 229,000 units over 170,000 units compared to last year. Selling well. Just a recap before we wrap this up. I'm going to let you guys look at this. We'll soak this in together. A Genesis just surging ahead. Acura making the big comeback. Lexus up there near the top of the most rebounded brands out there. And Lexus didn't have a terrible year last year. They came in second place behind Mercedes-Benz for the #1 luxury automaker in the United States. So man, they're having a good year. Volvo surging ahead. I'm not going to talk about them too much, but guys, I'll end it there. Definitely stay tuned to the channel as I will cover the TLX Type S in depth. I have so many files and videos I need to sift through. It's such a beautiful car, such an exciting car. I probably have 50 videos alone on just me getting Type S close-ups. So guys, I'll end up there. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you in the next video whenever it's out, when I get back to Florida. Take care of yourselves and peace out.